Welcome to The Life of Hair. My name's James Atkinson. Thank you for joining me in this Wednesday episode. That little cough that you heard in the background was my little boy, and that is because I'm still in quarantine measures here in the UK, as I'm sure a lot of you are wherever you are in the world. So I hope you guys are well and that you're not suffering too much from this particular situation. I thought I'd bring you a Wednesday edition. Now, normally I make my Wednesday videos around topics and subjects, but because you guys are off, potentially, who are watching this, I've decided to do a full-blown tutorial episode. Now, this was a requested episode from a few weeks ago. Someone came to me in the comment section and said, could they do channel cutting on longer hair types? Channel cutting, for those of you that are not aware of that video, is a way that I thin out or texturize shorter haircuts, but not only shorter haircuts, I also do it on longer hairstyles too. This is a bob shape, a very blunt bob shape that's on very, very thick textured hair. And you know, I'm a big fan of keeping things really simple. I don't like traditional layers too much, so I use this particular technique quite a lot in my day-to-day salon life. So I hope you enjoy it, and I think it's gonna maybe cause some adverse opinions along the way because it's quite an extreme technique, and I know a lot of you are gonna say to me, how does it grow out, James? How does this grow out? And I can assure you I've been doing it for a very long time. And if you get it right, if you make sure that you listen to the instructions in the video, it will just grow out seamlessly. One thing I will say is that you won't want to do this particular technique every single time the client comes in, because what you'll tend to get is like an over thinning thing happening very, very quickly. So be conscious of that and enjoy this episode. If you do enjoy it, remember, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up button. All those things really, really help, and leave those comments down below. I will promise you I read every single one. Whether I get back to those comments these days, well, I try my best, but I can't always. So have a wonderful week. Enjoy the time with your family or on your own, learning something new, and I'll see you again on Sunday for another episode of Life of Hair.
As you can see, this haircut is all one length. I did a simple one length bob to start this technique off. Now, when I'm cutting a bob, generally I don't use traditional layers. I just don't like the way it looks. Around 90% of the bobs that I cut, if I'm going to put any texture in them at all, it is using this method. We split the hair down the centre back, and then through the centre of the occipital bone to the back of the ear, take a horizontal section. This sections off the proportion of the head that has the most hair, or at least the most density. This is because in the sides there is less density due to the hair going around the ears. We're going to now start the technique. Now, I know a lot of you are going to think this looks very, very scary, but if you follow some very, very simple rules, you will not go wrong, I can assure you. In these underneath sections especially, we can be a little bit more free with this technique and take away a little bit more hair, because we have got more hair to play with. The trick to this technique is to comb the hair straight down from natural fall. Once the hair has been combed down, we can then run our scissors, opening them and closing them very gently with very small snips, parallel to the hair direction. This will remove lots of bulk from the hair, but also not leave us with any unsightly lines or pieces of hair missing from this underneath section. It will also retain some of the weight in the outline, something that I'm very eager to do when I cut a bob. That is why I don't generally use classic thinning techniques that only take weight away from the ends. When we move our way up the head, we take another section around 2 inches in depth, and we take that section and elevate it around 45 degrees out from the head shape. We are now working on the hair that is 50% of the way down the head. You will note as we work up the head, we will work further and further towards the ends. Take another 2 inch or 2.5 inch section along the head shape, this time to the front of the ear. These sections will depend on the thickness of your client's hair. We then run the scissors down the hair parallel to the head shape from about halfway to remove the bulk through the mid-lengths and ends. This is not a technique that I particularly recommend doing every single time unless your client has got extremely thick hair. The client who I am doing this on does have extremely thick hair, and I do this technique most times, but there does come a time when we can't do it. So you have to pay due diligence to when you can and cannot use this technique. You cannot just use it on every single client and hope for the best. We have now just taken a section from the highest point of the head down to the top of the ear, and we're going to elevate the hair out from the head at a 45-degree angle again. This time we will be working on the last 1/3 of the hair, and we will be paying ultra close attention to not taking big chunks of hair from this section, because this is the section that will sit right on the top of the head. Now, I know a lot of you are going to be wondering how this grows out, but as I said in my intro, it grows out beautifully. You just need to be very careful about how you go about it. You do not want to angle your scissors diagonally into the hair, especially on these top sections. It is better to go over it several times and remove a small amount of hair each time than it is to get impatient and remove a lot of hair very quickly. Through this side section, we've taken a 2-inch section that is above the ear. Now, because in the sides there is less hair, I'm going to elevate these sections 45 degrees from the head shape straight away. I'm going to work this section through that bottom third. The second section through the sides will be worked in exactly the same way. If the hair is particularly thick though, in this particular section we can place it straight down to the head and work with the channel cutting that runs along the scalp. My client Georgie has very thick hair, and in that section I find it works much better. Her hair sits much slimmer if I take that weight away from that section. On this top section again, we're elevating the hair away from the head shape at around 45 degrees. Higher than that is okay, but not necessarily necessary. That sounded like a mouthful, didn't it? A tongue twister for you there. Not necessarily necessary. As we work through this technique, we need to assess how much hair we are removing from the head. We cannot assume that we are going to take enough away, nor can we assume that we can keep going at it until there's no hair left. Every time we cut a section, we need to feel for how much weight we have left behind. Remember, this first section is 2 inches above the ear and the hair is elevated 45 degrees from the head shape. This second section will be done in a similar fashion, but then we will remove the bulk from the internal shape, closer to the roots, to flatten the shape around the parietal ridge. This works particularly well on very thick hair types, but be rest assured, if the hair is not very thick, you do not want to be removing that much weight from that area on your client's hair. This technique does look scary. I can definitely agree with you there. If you're sitting there watching this thinking, wow, I would never do this, believe you me, many moons ago I'd have said the same thing. But if you practice, you will love it. And here is the finished result. A soft textured bob that is more one length than it is not, but has got the look and the feel of something that has been texturized. And I love this end result. As I said to you before, it's one of my favorite ways of cutting a bob shape that is one length, and the maintenance of this is so easy for the clients. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have, smash that thumbs up button, stay safe, and I'll see you again on Sunday for another episode of The Life of Hair.